Hello there. What is going on, everybody? I am bringing to you an Armada build today. We're going to run through a squadron heavy build, which is unlike stuff that I typically do, but there's a lot of newer players getting into the game. And, I don't want you to think, if you watch a lot of my builds, that people should always run like low or no squadrons, because honestly, squadrons are great. And I've got a new storage solution now so I can more easily access my squadrons. And I think it's time to maybe start revisiting more builds with squadrons and kind of see how that works out. So I'm using Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder today. I will put a link in the description below so you can check it out. It's a website, really easy Armada Squadron Builder. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Also, if you are new here, there's a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway going on right now. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos to enter to win. So one of the things I'm going to do in this particular build is I'm going to do my squadrons first, and then I'm going to add ships and everything that can support these. Now, I really like Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder because I want to go with bombers. I want, a lot of times in the past when I've gone with heavy squadrons, I'll pick like a single theme for them. Like they're all going to be like anti-squadron just to, blow up my opponent's fighters, or I want them all to have rogue so I don't have to give them squadron commands or something like that. But in this case, I want bombers. And so one of the things I can do here is I can filter by bomber. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter by bomber. And so now I've got all the named bombers on the top and all of the generic bombers on the bottom. Since I'm going for a lot of squadrons, I'm going to use mostly generics for this list. And I'm going to go with X-Wings and Y-Wings. So we're going to be a little bit more traditional. I'm going to put Intel in this list, since Intel is kind of a staple of the game. I'm going to use Jan Ors. And one of the things that Jan Ors is really good at is keeping lots of X-Wings alive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run several X-Wings. I think maybe 5 X-Wings and 3, let's do 6. 6 X-Wings, 3 Y-Wings, and Jan Ors. That's going to put us up to 127. Which is awfully close. I couldn't fit another squadron in there, although I guess I could probably fit another Z95, but then I'd have an odd number. And an even number of squadrons is generally always good, because when you deploy squadrons, you're deploying them in groups of 2, unless, so if you have only 1 left, you don't get to use it in place of a normal deployment. So even numbers of squadrons are always ideal. Or usually ideal. Almost always ideal. So so this is 9 generic squadrons and 1 named, so a total of 10 squadrons, which is pretty good. And I've got lots of anti-squadron firepower here with the X-Wings with their 4 blue. I've got lots of bombers. I've got 9 total bombers. I've got lots of escort to keep other people off of Jan. And Jan's ability will allow me to brace on the X-Wings to help keep them alive as well. So those X-Wings are really going to have a shared brace token that's non-accuracyable, because I'm spending it on Jan's ability. There are things out there to deal with Intel, and there's a lot more things nowadays to deal with Intel, but I would still rather have Jan than not have Jan. And Jan is a really good pilot in this game. She adds those braces to the other squadrons. She provides this bubble of intel that allows them to move. She also provides this bubble of brace protection. She also has counter, and she also rolls a black die against ships. So while Jan doesn't have bomber herself, she's also rolling a black die against ships. So I've got a lot of anti-ship firepower so far right here. Now, the biggest weakness here is that the X-Wings, which is I have the most X-Wings, they have that red die, and we've got a couple of blanks on the red die. So now it's time to add ships, and I know one of the things I'm going to want is Bomber Command Center. But I'm going to, let's do that first. Let's do the support first. We're going to have the GR75, who's going to have Bomber Command Center. Got to have Bomber Command Center, because now I've got 9 squadrons that this ship is going to be able to support, and that's going to be awesome. But on top of that, I'm also going to toss in Torin Farr, and this is going to make this a super support ship. My opponents are really going to want to blow this thing up. Definitely, as they're going to highly prioritize destroying this GR75. And that's okay. That's definitely okay, because I don't want them killing my other ships. Because I'm not going to run any huge super tanky ships, but I'm going to have some medium ships. I'm going to run the assault frigate. And so I'm putting Bright Hope. That definitely helps keep the GR75 alive. And so this is a good, solid support ship as a GR75. Plus, it's 2 squadron activations on top of everything else. So now we are going to add the flagship, which is going to be an Assault Frigate Mark II-B. I am going to use Kirsta Agate on this because, hey, it's not super tanky, but I wanted to make sure I can stay alive. And I also want to use Kirsta Agate because she's new. Although if you don't have Kirsta Agate, Jan Dodonna is going to be just perfect in this list for bombers because all those crits going through. I think Dodonna is also, you could easily swap out Dodonna. But I like the idea of Kirsta Agate because I also like to run ships, and I like to have ships that shoot, and I don't like ships that are like weak attack and only rely on squadrons. I want the ships to have some good ship attacks as well. And so I'm going to make my flagship actually a pretty competent shooting ship. And so what I'm going to do with that is, my plan is to run Paragon on here and have Kirsta Agate give me a salvo token. I don't need an extra brace. I've got all this other stuff. I've got great defense tokens, and Kirsta Agate allows me to guarantee I can use them, even with an accuracy. I'm actually going to save points. I don't have to put ECM on this ship, and while I would love to put ECM on this ship as extra insurance, because I'm running so many squadrons, I can't really afford it. And that's really the advantage of running only ships, is you get a lot more points to put on your ships. But I didn't have that here, so trying to make the most with what I've got. Now, since I am not going to have that, I'm going to be relying on Kirsta Agate to make sure I can brace, for example. I'm going to put Walix Blissix on here. Walix is going to allow me to get a defense token back, and that's going to be incredibly important when I decide I need to use Kirsta Agate. But I could also use it if I just get overwhelmed, if a whole bunch of other stuff comes at me, or if I use the salvo twice, and that might be something I do, especially with having Paragon and wanting to make sure I am able to get that extra die on both of my attacks if I have somebody double arced that shot me earlier in the round and I shot back with salvo. Now, this is definitely going to be an offensive-oriented ship. I'm going to give it one more upgrade for its offense, and that's going to be linked turbo laser towers. Even in the event that I don't get, the Paragon ability to trigger, I'm still going to get a reroll on each of my attacks, since linked turbo lasers gives me a reroll for all my reds. It's just an amazing, amazing card, and I absolutely love it. And it also works with salvo, so it can give me lots and lots of rerolls. I can have, in theory, 4 rerolls in a turn. It's that good. So really, really solid upgrade. And in the event I do have to do anti-squadron fire, I can also use it for that if I absolutely positively have to kill somebody. But I don't anticipate having to do that, and such that I'm going to put flight controllers as my as my offensive retrofit here. Sorry, not offensive retrofit, but my weapons team. Flight controllers is just so good because it's going to let the squadrons that I activate get an extra blue die. And the whole purpose here is that when I really need to clear out the screen that my opponent has, when I need to send those X-Wings in to clear out that screen, those X-Wings are going to be going into the squadrons that I activate are going to have 5 blue dice that they roll. So this is really, really going to be strong. Especially strong against opponents' aces as well, because I'll be able to get that accuracy and stop their scatter, because those tiny TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor aces, all of them, they love to scatter. So, 5 blue dice, you have a pretty good chance of getting some damage and also stopping defense tokens if you need to. So, really happy about that. Plus, the potential of a blue die reroll from Torin Farr, which I have over on the GR75. So, super excited about that. So I really like flight controllers. As a matter of fact, I like to run it on multiple ships if I can, but points are a little bit prohibitive right here. So got the flagship, got the support ship, got points to spare. So then we're at this kind of interesting point where, hey, I still need more carriers. So I could do something like Yavaris, and Yavaris is great, but I think Yavaris really shines with certain other pilots, and Yavaris is also really can be completely destroyed very, very quickly. There are upgrades to make it a little bit better, but I want something that's going to be a little bit more universally good and maybe a little bit more tanky. So I'm going to go with another Assault Frigate Mark II-B. For one, it activates 3 more squadrons, and hey, since I have 9, well, actually technically 10 that need to be activated, although Jan is, less of a big deal. But I need at least 9, if not 10. I've got 10 squadrons that need to be activated. you know, and in theory, I could have a token. I don't have token generating shenanigans yet, but look, I've got 2 here and 3 there. It's only 5. I'm only halfway there. So 3 more here is going to get me up to 8. Very, very close now. And if I have tokens on everybody, we'll have enough to do it with just these. So that much is good. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of points left to put upgrades on this ship unless I only want to have 3 ships. And one thing I don't like about squadron heavy builds is a lot of them are only 3 ship builds, or maybe 2 ships and 2 flotillas, but like it's very easy to get tabled if that's the case. And that's one of the reasons I'm using medium ships that are pretty tanky, and Agate's really going to help my flagship stay alive. So that's one of the things I think is going to be really fun about a build like this. Now, I will put some upgrades on here. One of the things that I think would be fun, hey, I still want some ship-to-ship firepower, right? So I'm going to give this guy local fire control because, hey, I want both of my assault frigates to have salvo. And since Agate can provide for it on the flagship, and I have flight controllers available there, I'm going to go with local fire control here. It's a little cheaper. I mean, if you want, you could swap this out for a second copy of flight controllers if you really want to. But I think I'm going a little bit all in on counting that my opponent's going to have lots of squadrons. And I feel like local fire control is the safer bet because you know your opponent's going to have ships. You don't always know that your opponent's going to have squadrons. And such, even if they do have squadrons, you don't know if they're going to have enough squadrons that really warrant 2 instances of flight controllers. So 1 instance of flight controllers is probably more than enough. So I think local fire control is a smarter bet here. And for funsies, because he's really, really cool, I'm going to put Ezra Bridger on this ship because this is a medium ship, so it's got a larger profile than a lot of small rebel ships do, and it might, as such, it might have some difficulty moving around obstacles. Ezra is just awesome anyway. He's good for so many different objectives. You never know when you're going to need him, but when you do, it's really great to have him, and he's fun too. So that's cool. And he came in Rebellion in the Rim. And so he's still a little bit on the newer side, but I love the relatively newer cards for Armada because like he's one of those cards that's just really, really fun. All right, and that's all I'm putting on this assault frigate. So this one's going to be a little more bare bones, and I get that it's really going to be serving in the role of a carrier. If I had a little more points, I would put linked turbo laser towers on this one also to make it a lot more of a flushed out threat. And you could totally do that. I could see even dropping flight controllers off of the flagship for this one, but I think I'm going to send this one in first. The idea is I probably will lose at least 1 ship. I expect it'll probably be this one, because I'm going to have this one up close with all of the action. Now I have enough points for 1 more ship, and this is, I'm going to go a little bit smaller, a little bit cheaper, but potentially really, really nasty, and I'm going to make that a Garell's Honor Hammerhead Torpedo Corvette. So small ship, black dice, Garell's Honor, ramming them, critical damage. Really cool. Just a great card. Even ships that have, ramming immunity or partial ramming immunity are still going to suffer the critical from Garell's Honor. So Garell's Honor is just a fantastic card. And we've got enough points left over to toss on external racks. So when I do get my maybe 1 shot of the game, it's going to be a pretty big shot. Alternatively, I can use external racks for anti-squadron attack if I need to do that as well. And that, my friends, is the list. For objectives, it's it's going to be, well, let's just take a look. We'll take a look at some of the objectives. I feel like Most Wanted is a really good option because I have that flotilla I could keep far back, or I could even put it on the Hammerhead and just fly him away. So I kind of feel pretty good about Most Wanted. You don't really feel great about opening Salvo or a lot of the other ships that tend to give me a tremendous advantage by not having squadrons or by having lots and lots of ships, because I've got 4 ships but only 3 that can really shoot. So advanced gunnery is okay, but there's a pretty big chance it could benefit my opponent more than it benefits me. If I go up against an Akbar Home 1, for example, I will seriously regret it. So don't want that. Although, I mean, granted, it could be kind of cool on the Paragon, no doubt. But I think Paragon's strong enough as is. So I think I'm going to go in this case, and there's some squadron-based ones that might work well here, but I think I'm going to go with Most Wanted. I think that'll be a fun one. And then for our yellow, I think I could see Capture the VIP being a fun one here. But at the same time, it's I'm not exactly. I feel like I would want to CR90 a little bit more for something like that. I love fire lanes in this case. I love anything that's going to tell me where the battle's going to take place. It makes deploying squadrons easier. It makes moving squadrons easier. It makes positioning somebody like Jan Ors or where knowing where my GR75 needs to be so that it can influence the its sphere of influence is going to be in the right spot. Makes all of that stuff much easier. And I have some decent firing arcs too with the assault frigates, so fire lanes could be a thing, but sometimes that really screws you over. So a fighter ambush could be a possible thing too. I could be deploying all of the squadrons, but I like fighter ambush a little bit better if I have more rogues because they have the potential to be really outside of my sphere of influence and they'll be outside of my sphere of support. So I am going to let's see, what else do we got that I really think is worthwhile for this one. When in doubt, planetary ion cannon is always okay. It's never one of those that's going to help your opponent, and that much is actually really cool. So I really do like planetary ion cannon, although I think it's a little bit better if you've got strategic, because if your opponent managed to outmaneuver these things, then, of course, that becomes a problem. But I think it's a fun one. It's definitely a fun one. I think fire lanes will benefit me a little bit more in this case. Those assault frigates have great arcs, and just the fact that I'll be able to tell my opponent where the battle's going to take place is going to be really good because I'm probably going to be second player here. And for the blue one, very similar with the knowing where the battle's going to take place, I can go with superior positions right here or solar corona. But I like superior positions a lot more in this particular case because I'm going to have, again, so many squadrons that I'll have a lot of opportunities to get rear shots. I'm going to get a load of points off of sending those squadrons to a ship's rears and getting some damage. So I think that's the objectives I might go with for right now. But let me know what you guys might do differently. All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got today. Here's a printout of the list if you wanted to take a look at it. And that's it. All right. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to Ryan Kingston for making an awesome website and keeping it up to date. And thanks to all the patrons on Patreon. You guys are absolutely amazing and make this all possible. I'm going to be posting some new giveaways, some new promos and stuff out on there too. So keep an eye out on that. And if you have more video suggestions too, you can let me know on Patreon or on the Patreon Discord channel as well. All right, guys, that's all I've got. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And make sure you click that bell for alerts so you don't miss out on new stuff. But big thanks to you all. And as always, have a great day. Have a double critical day.